is published in Hobby Japan magazine. He is currently published in the Weathering magazine, which he does have a copy to show around later, I'm sure. The man's name is Mr. Lincoln Wright.
Aussie camo.
Aussie camo.
They hooked us up.
Yeah.
Some idiot.
Yeah. Lincoln and his family just moved back to Australia from Japan, so he's reacclimatising to the Australian way.
My wife's watching me.
Yep. So, in this panel, Lincoln is going to demonstrate how to do weathering techniques using products by Ammo by Linc. They're all acrylics and oil-based paint. And Lincoln's going to describe and do his demonstration on how to use these products to create realistic weathering effects. So please give a warm welcome to Mr. Lincoln Wright.
Oh, thanks guys, I really was not expecting that. YouTube's a little bit different, eh? It's me sitting at the kitchen table talking to myself. Are we there yet? So if you don't recognize me, that's what you usually see. But live, you're stuck with this. Sorry. Okay, because it's a Gunpla show, I made a Gunpla. And it's Grimgerd there, right? I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it in English. I think it's Grimgerd, maybe. So my English is going to be a bit off, okay? I lived more than half of my life in Japan, so I'm Aussie, but you know, I'm a bit wonky as well. So apologies in advance. The color scheme for this one's on the box, right? You guys know it. This is a pretty famous kit, right? We're gonna make the cameraman work for his money, right? So it's awesome, but I knew it would be really hard to show weathering. And apparently the guy in the show, I don't know it super well, the guy in the show is a bit of a clean freak, right? So I thought it'd be a bit of a giggle to do a different version of his suit and beat it up. So I went with a custom scheme here. Now it's a Frankenstein of paints. I used Gaia Notes, Stone Green. I thought it was just really nifty. I went with that. That's an airbrush finish. This one's Tamiya Rattle Can spray. And yeah, that turned out super well, super durable, I love it. And these bits here, the metallic one, I think it's MS Grey by Mr. Color. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. And that's I hand brushed that one on. Just it's nice and dark, it's easy, so I thought we could go with that. Now weathering, where do I need to work? What works for you? Yep, cool, okay. Weathering. I know we get a little bit nervous when we talk about weathering. It's like, you know, I don't want to beat up my brand new, nice, shiny model, right? Why should we do it? And I think it's good that we can do a spectrum of finishes to make something weathered. Realistically, it's just adding a bit of detail to your model, right? And you can do it very lightly, all the way up to, you've seen Captain Chunky, right? And that's a really good example of high-level extreme weathering. Well done, Aaron. So I'm not going to do that today because his is better. I just wanted to show some really quick stuff on how to, you know, work with a custom scheme and get it looking a little bit more interesting relatively quickly. Now, I have a bit of a background in art, and I do 2D stuff as well. I mean, like, you know, flat drawings, etc. And one of the things you can do to start off with, because we work with a physical medium, we tend to forget about some of the basic aspects of art. I know it sounds silly, right? We're making Gunpla, it is art, but it's art. When you draw something, we have to draw an outline around it, don't we? Otherwise it doesn't exist. It's a flat, blank piece of paper. These, thankfully, Bandai-san has given us an outline. All we can do is we can accentuate that. And that was one of the ideas. Just before we kick off into weathering proper, I went with, it does look like a Barbie, doesn't it? I wanted to accentuate the T cross-section. Where's Ryan? Ryan, show us your back, bro. Ryan's a really good example of a well-built bloke, right? And and the reason for that is the broad across the shoulders, narrow across the waist, and of course this guy personifies that, right? So I wanted to accentuate that as well. So even before touching weathering steps, I've given it its white through the center and across here. So it will give it a little bit of a shoulder width bump. The 1980s shoulder pads for the win. So that's just the start to it. Now to give it a bit of an outline, I'll get with slinging some paint. Isn't Band-Aid awesome? Hey, you don't have to glue anything. These are hard work. Getting them to this level in stage is really hard work. These are awesome. So for an outline, I'm going to use this one. So is this going out to the internet? Okay. Once upon a time in ammo camp, I was watching Miguel. He was doing a demonstration, and he showed me his original version of this. He was using a product that was Vallejo Camo Black Brown, German Camo Black Brown, I think it is. I think they've improved on it a little bit. This one's a slightly lighter color, but we'll give it a shake. This one's brand new. I think it's got a ball bearing. Can you guys hear that? If I punch myself in the face, I really meant that. And you can feel it release, right? When you get these and they've been sitting for a while, they've got all that clear stuff up the top. And you look at it and you go, oh, shake that. And down the bottom all of the resin accumulates. I use the sound of the ball to test how well it's been shaken up, right? So once it releases and it goes pretty well, and it gives you a nice sort of, about to spray dodgy graffiti on the school wall sort of sound. Yeah. And can you see? Go southpaw. Yes, that's coming out really nicely. Now for good and for bad, oh wait a minute, I'm wearing an ammo t-shirt, right? Yeah, for good, ammo thins a lot of these paints for us. So the good is you can chuck them straight in the airbrush and they're ready to go really quick. If I start drinking this, tell me, okay? I've had a few incidents. Because they're ready to go in an airbrush, right? They're nice and thin, which is good. For some of our weathering steps or hand brushing, you want them to thicken. Air does that for us. Do you guys always dip your brushes in something before you kick off? Do you know why we do it? But it feels right, doesn't it? And you are right. What smart people have told me is it protects your brush, because it's like putting a kind of thinner in it straight off, and it gives the paint, it doesn't let the paint dry on your brush too quick. So you were right to do that. Because the paint's really thin, what I'm planning to do is I was going to do a quick, not really, it's not dry brush, but I don't know what this stuff's called, okay? Usually if I do that, I think in my mind I'm dry brushing, but it might be a bit different. I want about that, can you see that consistency? And I'm using a flat brush to, this is the front, to just, you got me? To lightly go against the edges here. Hey, when you guys are painting stuff at home, do you ever do something really good by accident and go, hey, I am really good, that's right. That was one of those moments just there. Some of these can be a bit heavy. This is a lacquer paint underneath, so I can sidetrack with this too. Actually, that's pretty good. So while the paint's a little bit thinner, I don't want to use the sponge until, that sounded like a Carl Pilkington moment, didn't it? Sponge. I don't want to get into the spongering while it's still too wet. It's very difficult to control. Now I'm slightly pulling back. I'm letting the brush do most of the work, the edge of the brush. Have you seen, sometimes, I'll do it too when I get silly. You use the point. You get like a nice sharp brush like this, available from Hobbyco, and you get in there and dot dot in a lot. You guys do that too? And it's super tedious, isn't it? Practice doing things like this if you want, using the flat edges of brushes. It's so much faster. The reason I harp on about speed a lot is early on in my model making little career there, I started doing stuff for Hobby Japan. You guys know Hobby Japan? Yeah. They're brutal to work for. Absolutely brutal. They'll give you a model and you have to make it in one day, paint it in another. It's absolutely brutal. And so everything for them is about speed. They'll give it to you, and it has to be photographed a certain way. So you have to learn to do things really, really quick. So those YouTube videos that show you, some guy working on some person working on a model and takes him forever, just don't cut it for that kind of work. So hitting the maximum bang for buck techniques is super important. Now, a German bloke, he's a really good figure model. He taught me something. I'd like to share that one. He said, if I can remember, he said, for shadows paint up, highlights paint down. And simple stuff like that that helps me remember what I'm doing. So for the white ones, this chipping, I didn't really explain what I was doing, sorry. This chipping slash shadow, doing it in an upward stroke from what will be the bottom of the model, helps give us a good outline. And that's, remember I was babbling at the beginning of my presentation, doing an outline is nice and important. So outlining our guy, and this one being so angular, it's really going to take these sort of edges and chips really well. Is that coming up at all? Now if I'm a bit dodgy, the good thing about having a shiny paint underneath, if it works, is the acrylic will come off. Fingernail, I'm getting desperate. Oh, there we go. So if I don't like how it's turning out, a little bit of backtracking like that. That's not too bad. Can help a lot. I want to get through lots for you today. You sick of this one yet? Should I start spongering yet? You guys can talk. It's alright.
Do one more.
I'll just do it. I'll slap a little bit more on. My plan is for this one, I want to do this, his right, our left, my left. I'm going to do one side of the model here, and then share another one with close-ups on YouTube, just so you can catch up with it and edit out all of the silly things that I'm going to say now. The power of editing. It's nice. That's okay. A little bit down here. Okay, enough. Next, spongering. It's not really called spongering. That's my idiot version of what I like to call using sponges. I've used this one a little bit. I think I got hungry then. It's a little bit of an older one. I've seen people use really fancy ones. This is just something from Woolies that I found in the house and took it when my wife wasn't looking. She's not listening, is she? This is from another house. And just go for a pinch. It's not super important. Doesn't need to be big, doesn't need to be super small. And you know those tweezers you were looking for this morning? I found them in my model box. So I use another pair at home of Tamiya ones, but I forgot, sorry. So tweezers are tweezers. These are pretty good. You know you can get sharp ones? Just be careful with them, because if you get too aggressive and you're in there and chipping away and you look down, and you'll have a whole different level of chipping in there where you scratched off your model, and that's a sad time, isn't it? Yeah, we've all done it. Really good, bro. So I'm aiming for about, what have I got there, about 3 mil? Now, see how that's got a double head on it? Yeah, you see that? That's a little warning flag for me, because when you're using this, you guys have seen the sponge technique before? Lots of nods, cool. It's pretty famous, it's very easy, it's very fast. One of the great things about it is that speed and being able to put down very micro dots that are otherwise very tedious to do. The downside, the really negative thing about this is, along with all weathering techniques, is just be careful of overusing them. If when you overuse weathering techniques, they'll use you. This is a really good example of something that would come out as a stamp and be really obvious on your model. If you put that on 2 or 3 times, your human eye and brain is very switched on. You immediately recognize that as a pattern, and it kills that illusion of realism that we're going after. So I'm going to get rid of that. That was long to explain that, but I thought it was worth it. There we go. This is a good shape. And just like before, yeah, we thickened up. Can you see the paint is quite a bit? No, you can't. Drill a hand. When you start out in the modeling world, they don't tell you got to be left-handed, right? Yeah, it's never in the brochure. So, can you see that paint is thickened up nicely for me? My long-winded babble was all part of a plan. Again, like last time, get most of that off. That's reasonable. And we're going for outlining, still outlining here. Going for parts of the model. It may not be realistic, truth be known. I mean, how is he going to get scratches up under here? But it's Gunpla world, so it happens. Hey, the guys gifted me a really old Gunpla as part of a hazing ritual you guys have, right? Thanks for that. And,
not a problem.
But when's that kit from? Is that like from the 80s?
It's about 81, 82, I think.
Wow. Even I was young then. And but they had weathering on the artwork. It's got scratches and all kinds of stuff. So, you know, doing this it's authorized by Bandai from back in the day. So I need to be pretty quick today because I want to cover, you know, give you guys some value. I'm going to try to hit the highest, most obvious points on this one. I'll go back when I'm not trying to talk at the same time. Uncle Link's got only so many brain cells now. So the most obvious ones, outline. You got to imagine if this was a guy and he's running around, he's doing army guy stuff. Knees are going to get pretty banged up, right? Elbows are going to get pretty banged up. Oh yeah, Mig told me not to do this. Sorry, Mig. Mig said, "Stop it, you idiot! Put the models down. Let the camera focus." But okay, I'm pretty tactile, hands-on, so I do all of these things holding them. But I realize it's probably not the best for showing it. Sorry about that. First you have to learn how to be good at model making, then you have to learn how to show model making, then you have to learn how to talk about it. There we go. You imagine this is going to take a bit of a beating on the back here. There we go. Bottom of the feet for sure. Now I'm just letting the upper edges of the model catch this. Nice and easy, nice and quick. It's pretty brainless too. You can do this watching TV. And because I've used lacquer paints underneath, if I really make a mess of this, even after I go home, I can use some hobby thinner from, you know, from Tamiya or Prius or somebody, Mr. Hobby. I'm so sorry, Sam. I wasn't ready for your randomness just now. Good. Could you say that again, please, mate? I'm sorry? Am I saying it wrong? 失礼しました。たまに僕は英語がちょっと喋れないですから、どうしても発音がちょっと変わってます。So, I've heard people say different versions like Tamiya, but it's all Japanese is quite flat. It's just ta, mi, ya. Yeah, it's written in 3 things, so just flat, Tamiya. Like I said, my English is a bit off. 日本語喋れるでしょ、俺が。Oh, that was fun. Can I come back next year, please? I'll be good.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I'll be good. I'll be
We
good.
need more comedians.
Say decal.
Ah,
Yes. Can you please pronounce the Japanese pronunciation of decal, please?
the meme version or the actual version?
The one we were talking about last
The one we
night.
talked about last night is Dick Aru.
Big hello.
Dick Aru. And right now my wife thinks a little bit less of me again. Yep. They made me. Okay. So I didn't do a lot there. We can do more, but can you see that a little? I mean, it's given it a little bit of, it's defined some of the defining qualities. That didn't work. It's defined some of the sharpness of this model as opposed to the other side. You can see it's just pointing it out a little bit across the top of the leg. Well, this color was totally a bad choice for his demo, wasn't it? Well, when I was making this at home, I was like, oh, that color's the best. That's going to rock. It's so easy to see everything on. And no. Alright, that happened. Okay, next. I went with acrylic first. Chemistry, you know, if you just want to work with acrylics, you can. It'll work. I try to use chemistry as my friend because I like the smell of it. And but if I go with the acrylics first, the enamels will layer over the top of them really well because they dry really quickly. But you know, it's oil and water. So if I went the other way around, if I started slathering it with mineral-based spirits like this, the acrylics just don't stick. It's really bad. Now, I broke into Hobbyco early this morning and stole these from the shelf. And it's okay, Fritz was watching. And so, I wait a minute, I do have, this is stuff somebody else stole from me earlier. What was this one? These are actually the same ones that I took, so, okay. So these ones are available in this set. There's two newer sets that came out. I didn't want to take them on the airplane because, you know, enamels first spirits. I just realized I don't wear glasses when I make models. That actually just happened. So much clearer. So I need them to look in far away, but that close I don't. I'll go with, one of the colors that I picked this one out to match up with, have you seen there's one called Starship Filth, which I really wanted to use. I think it's pretty close to this, but let's test it, eh? It looked like it was a slightly greeny grey colour. These ones, you got to shake them up for them to properly work, and we'll test it out, eh? Yeah, it's green, cool. Medium brush. These ones are really nice, eh? Are these expensive at Hobbyco? They look really good, eh? So get these. I know, right? I was really amazed in there. That's why we were a bit late. My kid wouldn't come out. Dad, Lego! Come play, kid. Lego! Alright. So let's test the colour. Yeah, there we go. So this one's called Interior Wash or Starship Filth. Starship Filth might be a bit more grey. Okay. Now, you guys you seal your Bandai kits, right? You haven't put like mineral spirits on them straight? Because it's fun, right? There's lots of laughing, okay. Bandai makes really good, hard, sharp plastic, but be careful with petrochemicals on them because they're not sealed. Long topic. So this one's painted, it's lacquer paint, so it should work pretty well. The opposite of the outlining that I was talking about before. So putting the outline around that. Wasn't that one? Oh. The other one in front of me. The outline of the model, the other way to do it then is do the inside of it. Again, that harkens back to 2D painting, right? Showing the outside and then showing the inside. Are you ready for the Nihongo 1-point lesson? Make sure I'm saying it right to my wife. Sumire. It just means, it really means putting lines in. Ine means in, and sume is the ink that they used to use, for the calligraphy style paintings. There we go. You see, Gunpla is educational. How cool is that? There we go. Now, I've gone glossy here. I did some decals, but I use glossy paints too. And you guys know, it just helps you because then the mineral spirit paints will run a little bit. Now, we're lazy, right? Otherwise, we'd be playing touch football now. So, having the paint do a little bit of work for us is nice, isn't it? Now, I'm going to avoid this one. I think I'm going to check a bit later. Have you noticed where parts fit? Bandai fit is exceptional, isn't it? It's crazy, crazy good engineering. But don't put enamel spirits where the parts fit really well, right? Because it can't evaporate and it sits there going, ha ha ha. And then when you go back the next day, it falls apart, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go across the top and the bottom here really quick. I'll go with the white one. The blue's not working for us. All I needed to make was this, right, for the demo. I made all that. Bit of shadow in here. You can be nice and rough, really. I mean, neat saves you time, but roughness produces cool effects. Does that make sense? You know what I mean, right? When you really, really, like, I'm getting it in there, and then you finished, it's like, yeah, well, I did it, but it's boring as. So, you can leave it dry for a little. Is that going to show up on this? It might not, eh? Let's give it a go. Now, let's go for something brown. Okay, participation, everybody. What do you want? Dark streak and grime or streak and grime for Crazy Germans?
Crazy Germans, Crazy Germans.
That Crazy German was an easy winner. Oh, dude, it's not brown. Once again, we've been betrayed by Crazy Germans. I'm so sorry. I offered you. Yeah, I know. I immediately regret saying that. That was bad. The internet, yeah. I just lost 10% of my income. It was funny. What do we got? Okay, this is the brownest one. I think brown. You know how the color wheel works? Whenever you get lost, get that color wheel out. I got one. I'm an idiot. I look at it and go, oh, okay, I got blue, I got brown. Okay, I'll go with brown. So we'll go with brown on this, and I reckon it'll give us a bit more value. Am I going to clean my brush? No. After those German comments, I think I can do pretty much anything. It won't be that bad. Everything's on the upside from here, right? Dark rot. Okay, there we go. Let's go with that. Again, shadows. Oh, it shows up a bit better. I almost feel clever now. Almost. Except for the stupid comment. I don't know if you guys noticed, I choke back quite far on brushes. And it's a personal thing. You know when you get in like this, I feel like I can't move it around. So at least during the early stages like this when I'm messing about, it feels a little bit more relaxing to be right back on the brush. I don't have to be close to the model. And it looks well arty, doesn't it? Got one laugh. Okay, quick. Line. Okay, we're good. Okay. It's probably had just enough time to dry a little bit. I find with these ones, working time 30 minutes to 1 hour is the easiest to work with. You can work with them outside of that. 2 days, no. Have you guys used Humbrolls? Remember Humbrolls from back in the day? Humbrolls are awesome. And man, I love that smell. Reminds me of my dad hitting me with a stick or something, right? You're making the Spitfire wrong! You know when they set up though, and you can't move them anymore? These ones set up after about 2 days. But 1 hour is probably about a sweet spot. So, you know, put some on, play Xbox, come back. And this one up, sorry I didn't do it. Enamel odorless thinner. I use one bottle, just buy one bottle like this and use it for this job. And you get a bit of cross-contamination, but it's easy. I've used Tamiya enamel thinner, it's a bit cheaper, right? But you get that burning feeling down here. This one is less. Why do they call it odorless though? It's like low odor, right? So these ones you can see it's dried a little bit. Like touch there, yeah. So it's not bad, right?
Gum tips.
And with the same brush, just a bit of a clean up, retouch.
Very oily too.
Itadakimasu. Japanese speakers will laugh. And this one's almost a clean up job, right? And you can go with horizontal or vertical strokes. I call them, you guys know Koyo Yama-san, Sensei. So he's the guy who invented this stuff. He calls them vectors. And he talks about putting vectors into paint a lot. And it's really quite clever. Because if you've airbrushed this, like I have, there's no vectors in it because we're basically, you know, like Aboriginal art with the dots. And you know, there's a Western version of that with the real micro dots. We're not putting any vectors in though. It's a really cool way to do it, but it doesn't give it any direction. Vectors give you motion and speed. Or the illusion of, that's probably a more accurate way to say it, I'm sorry. The illusion of vectors and speed. Even if they're not super obvious to our conscious brain, we can see them in there. That's why, you know, streaking is super popular, isn't it? It's because it gives us, we can imagine that, we can imagine that stuff falling off the model, right? So it's that illusion of movement that we like. And that's why, you know, Gunpla sells really well. You know, you put it on the display base and it's all, wow, it looks like it's moving, right? So I'm going with some horizontal vectors here. They're helping with that illusion of width that I want to cross the top. So I'm clean up plus a bit of width. We all need more width, right? Yeah, I knew that one would. I can't say that one in Japan. I meant shoulders for football. Oh, that's drying really nicely. I love it when it's just the right amount of easy. Yeah, the opposite of that is never fun, right? Just the wrong amount of hard. Okay, am I spinning this too much? You guys getting vertigo yet? Clean up, clean up. The reason also I like to go with a darker color at first is it lays the foundation, provides a lot of contrast. In the early stages of weathering, I like to use contrast on the model, and that's part of that idea about defining it, if that makes sense. So, I think I'm taking way too long on these steps, aren't I? I'm halfway. No, I've got 45 more minutes, right? Yeah, okay.
Go as long as you want. We're going to leave here about 6 o'clock though.
My kid's got to graduate from school.
If you want to go over, we usually stop about 3 o'clock.
No, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't... I don't know how to pace this, really. The other demos I've done were either super long or super short. 1 hour is actually probably a pretty good time, eh?
Yeah, up to you.
Well, this is one time when I was 12.
This one from a band camp.
Yeah, I fell off my skateboard.
Repeatedly?
Okay, that's a little rough. Let's work it down with some other stuff. You know, in looking at this too, you make a plan when you're making your model, right? You say, yeah, I'm going to do this. This is going to be awesome. I'm going to do this. This is what I'm doing. When I'm looking at this now, I'm going to do dirtier around the outsides of this white part, and I want this white part to be a bit shinier and cleaner in here. And I might come back with the oil brushes and put more white into here. I just reckon that's going to look nifty. I'm getting a better idea of a plan now. Yeah? Someone said, no? Okay. That was a David Brent The Office moment, wasn't it? There we go. Okay. Where's Aaron? When that dries, that's going to look great. We were laughing about that before. If I stuff anything up, I'll just say, oh, when it dries, it'll look great. So, can you see the outline shading? And I've left a couple of spots, left way too many spots there. I've left a couple of spots in there to look like slight chips or damage, bruising on the paint, for it maybe bumping into stuff. That's a good amount, I think. Does that look okay? How does that look to you guys? Can you see it? Okay. Let's go with that. Okay, quick cleanup here. Just some other stuff. Much of this stuff out, so I'll do it super fast, okay? When in doubt, spread it out. I really did just make that up then. But I really do it a lot though. When you know you put too much of any of this weathering stuff on something, you're like, quick spread it out. Plate. It's really racing car stuff, this guy, isn't it? I thought we'll have some accumulation of weathering on the bottom of these plates here. Now you notice I'm keeping well away from the frame, the IBO frame. Oh, it's a sexy frame, isn't it? You guys have made them? It's pretty fun, yeah. But I'm not putting mineral spirits anywhere near that. That precision engineering, boy. Yeah, that wouldn't go well. Actually, I'm liking that. That brown is really nice. There we go. Now this one, I'm going to make sure I keep all vertical vectors on this this front chest plate. It's so up and down, isn't it? It's got the diagonals at the top, but I don't want to mess with that. It's you can over detail models, right? If they make it too detailed or too confusing for the viewer will feel uncomfortable when they look at it and they go, it's hard to say what you think is wrong, but you'll look at it and you'll just go, no, I don't like that. But what it is, it's made them uncomfortable. And you know, it's like the visual aspect of fingernails down the chalkboard sort of thing. Sometimes I say things that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Okay. In my mind, that makes perfect sense. In the land of Linc. Okay. I think we're mostly cleaned up on the front there. Yep, okay, cool. The ears need it, don't they? I've got to do one side of the head. It really needs it. You guys, what's that character called? It's Briareus? You know, the Appleseed guy. I totally ripped that off, didn't I? Maybe that color, I'm not allowed to say the name of anymore. Let's go back for that. You guys wanted to see that. Let's try it out. On the ears. Look, I sharpened the ears up too, like Kawaguchi-san showed. I was really nervous that I was going to show how noob I am at Gunpla by not doing that. When I first made the lupus, did any of you guys see that first lupus I made? People were saying, safety knobs! It's like, yes, and? Safety knobs! Yes. I had no idea what that meant. No, really. Really, people were screaming it at me. Can I help you? So, I wish I had attended a Gunpla show before, so that would have saved me some embarrassment. That's a really interesting colour, eh? It's an olive green. I don't know why that's considered. Oh no, this is dark streaking grime. Yeah. Actually, no, I use this one on that guy because thanks very much, mate. This one, I was having a bit of joke with the editor. I'm just wondering how far you'll follow me. Okay, sorry. I was having a joke with the editor about this one. It was for the camo. It was all camouflage, right? So like, yeah, do some space thing. It's like, you always give me the hard ones. How can I make like space camouflage? And they were making fun of me. I said, okay, I'll do moon camouflage. And I said, okay, what about do the back of the moon camouflage? Well, that'd be like all black. So that wouldn't look very interesting. So I had a bit of a joke. The inside joke on this one was that I made green cheese moon camo. Knew it? Yeah. So everything was a weird sort of, make you want to be sick green cheese idea. And you can kind of see it there. So I used a lot of weird different green tones. And this was one of the bases of it. So if you're doing something like Allied armor or using this pack, the green mecha one, what's the name of the guy? He's like the opposite of this, the really short, stocky green guy. And he's like built like a tank, and he's really big. That's it, yeah, that one. I know Gunpla. And so I really want to use this one on that, and I really recommend this one. Will look really good for the dark streaking grime. Will look really good for picking out the details on that. On white, not so much. So I'll show you how to clean that up. Thinner. Do you guys sometimes put the wrong color on models too? Yeah, I do it all the time, even in front of large groups of people. But it's okay because it produces different effects that you probably wouldn't have planned. I was doing this demo in Italy, right? And I was having trouble because the guys weren't really good on English, and I had people from Italy, France, Germany there. And I discovered a way to explain it, was calling it happy accidents. And I wasn't being mean either, but you got multiple language people, right? You got to keep everything pretty simple. They were smiling a lot. Happy to be on the show, but yeah, so I said, okay, you can probably best describe it as having happy accidents. You guys have them? When you do something and it's not a complete, disaster. That's a happy accident. Actually, I really like how that looks. Now I'll clean it up. Do you guys know the difference between, say, filters and washes and streaking and all of these things? Really? I don't. My idiot understanding of it would be, the reason I'm saying it is what I've done there I would call a filter, because I took most of it off, but it has stained the paint. Can you see the difference between the ear and the head? Now what I'll do is, this is green. What would be a good counterpart color to green for the other ear? Anyone?
Yellow.
Yeah? Orange? Yellow? Yeah, cool. You guys know.
That's why
Do you make models, bro?
only lift.
So, that's the plan I'm thinking now, and I think that'll be really cool to watch, right? I'll keep this ear thingy, we'll go with green. I'll go with a, actually I've got yellow, but I want orange. I'll go with orange. I got orange stuff. I'll show you by video, okay? And we'll go for a contrast there. Now, I'm kind of going to, the previous presenter was talking about being symmetrical with paint. I think with construction that is good and important, but with painting, I would actually urge to go against symmetry. You want to, in a way, you want to entertain your viewer. When you get people looking at your gunpla, you want them to be interested, right? You want people to look at it and go, oh, that's pretty cool. So when they look around the model, it's our job, in a way, to kind of entertain them and show them new stuff. You don't want to show them the same thing here that you're showing them down there, because, you know, I feel like I'm ripping people off if I'm not showing them, you know, new stuff. So I'll try to do new stuff on the other side of the model to produce contrast, and it helps to kind of expand the model a bit too, because it's different things in different areas. It's a thing, I promise. I see doubt. Okay. Next, what else can we use? I wanted to show this one. I got this on the shelf and I grabbed this one, US Modern Vehicle Wash, because I use that on this guy. And you can see it's a really different flavor, right? This one's that green moon cheese thing. And this one, I wanted to kind of rip off, homage. You know, the US modern military look. Well, not just US, even the Aussies over in places like, say, Afghanistan and Iraq. We have a sort of a warm brown look. And that contrasts nicely with, say, the cold sort of white there. That can look really cool. This is kind of a cool color too, right? You guys look at colors as warm and cool and things like that. It can help you with your planning for what you're doing with your model to produce different sort of temperature gradients. It doesn't need to be super complex, but you know, that's something you can do. With child labor, where's my kid? She could have been standing here doing this the whole time. I'm not kidding. My wife was going to volunteer her up. She's like, yeah, send her up. Oh, the old days of Victorian era. QVB is Queen Victoria Building, right? So it was made by children in the Victorian era, wasn't it? The craftsmanship of those kids. Wow. I'm really impressed. Second mate. Ryan's going like this. Get him off.
I'll just interrupt for a second, Lincoln.
Good night.
Popular show of hands. Who wants Lincoln to continue on?
There you go.
You're stuck for another hour.
I really thought you guys were going to go. I was like, all right, I'm out.
Your last real panel of the day, but if anyone wants Lincoln to continue, you happy to continue?
What time am I supposed to,
Correct.
like now?
Yeah.
I
We'll
didn't
keep
hear
going.
this stuff. I'll be really quick,
No.
Okay, so Ben,
Take your time, keep going.
just ask questions at the same time. Then,
Yeah, if
then
anyone
it's
wants
the same
anything,
thing.
anyone has any questions, just stick your hands up and I'll tell them
Yep.
mine.
Well, that's Q&A done for today.
Oh, we got our first question. We got our first question.
Oh, except Aaron.
So Lincoln, if you intend to weather the model like up front, how important is the paintwork? So I know a lot of guys spent hours doing the modulation and all those different sort of hours and hours spent on paint, and then they just go and start weathering over the top. It's almost like at the start you just said you just did it in a rattle can and whatnot. So how important is the paintwork before the weathering?
Can I have an easier question, please?
No.
You went to your panel, man.
He's done these already.
I know. I've got to wait a whole year for revenge, right? Okay, that's an excellent question. I'm really, I'm going to be evasive for many reasons, but I don't want to just say it depends, but there's a spectrum of things you can do, right? And especially Gunpla. Gunpla is crazy what we can do. I mean, we can do a full scratch I've still got to see. I saw some photos. I haven't met Joshua yet. Didn't he spend like 18 months on the model and redid? I haven't been able to see. I've been doing everything else. I really want to have a look because that's one extreme of what we can do, right? Well, then you've got, and this one is probably took me about a couple hours, right? So it's one extreme to another. And it's amazing that Gunpla has that range, doesn't it? It has that with the paint effects as well. You can, like you said, rattle can it, or we could spend an incredible amount of time in perfecting modulated effects. Like, what's that bloke's name? He's over in Thailand. Oishi Modeler. Yeah, right? You know him? Yeah, because I've been in a bunch of magazines with him. He's a really cool guy. I think you have to set a budget. I hope this answers it, but I set a budget of time for each project. So if I was going to go really hard on the paint steps and put in a really complicated paint finish, I wouldn't then do a very complicated weathering scheme over the top of it as well, because you're kind of working against yourself a bit, right? I mean, you've done all that beautiful work, you've airbrushed it up, you've been masking it, you've planned it all out, and then boom, it fell in the mud. It's crazy to do, right? So I'd have like a sliding scale of my 0 to 100, and if I was going to put a lot more effort into my paint scheme, I would keep the weathering quite minimal. A caveat to that, however, is your finish, because your finish is actually quite technical, and it benefits from an extreme weathering application over the top. But that's one, those tangents I was talking about, that's one extreme. So I generally do go for more simplistic weather. If the focus is going to be weathering, if I'm selling it as a weathering product, I'll tend to go for a more simple scheme. So yeah, like this one is rattle can and hand brush acrylic decals. This one, they wanted the full lacquer paint hand brush. So, but again, that's a caveat. In a way, the color scheme of this one is actually a weathering step. I mean, these are actually the visible brush strokes. This technique and what I do for this is actually part of the weathering scheme itself. So the weathering steps over the top don't need to be that complicated. I mean, it looks super weathered, but that's actually 80-90% the color steps. This one's going to be a 40-60, I guess. Is that a reasonable answer? Great, cheers mate, thanks. It's a good one. I've never been asked that question before. It's good. Usually it's, where to buy this? Where to buy this? Google, bro. Let's use some of these, eh? Now, these are really different creature. I was super skeptical because, fine, I wear makeup, but not these colors. It just doesn't work with my complexion. So I was really skeptical about these because I'm a really big fan of oil paints, and I do the cardboard pizza box thing. It's a good excuse to go for Domino's. You get your cardboard, you put it out. You know the linseed oil, the carrier oil? You guys have done gunk wash and different oil stuff sometimes? Okay, cool. You get rid of the oil? Okay, I'm not seeing as many years. Because you know why you've done, why you do that? Because it takes forever to dry, right? And it doesn't flatten, so you do that. I was really skeptical about using these because I thought, wait a minute, if it's just oil paint in there, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna dry shiny? Is it ever gonna dry? I've only used them once. And that's oil paint, and this one is oil brusher. And actually, I was really super impressed. Can you see? Right on cue. You do kids parties and stuff too? I gotta be a bit more stable. Can you see this brown effects around here? Oh yeah, that's good, thanks. Those ones, the dust effects, all of the environmental weathering, I actually did all of that with oil brushes. And actually, as a side note to that, I've actually got another job. Ammo guys, Nick really liked my crappy, my YouTube videos, and so he said, look, make videos for our channel. So I've got a couple of, they're sitting on them now. There's a couple of my videos that I made here in Australia are going to go up on the ammo channel. So Australia, yes, Australia for the win. It's good to get Aussie stuff out there, isn't it? But I had to speak very heavily accented voice. Okay, what should we do first? Ryan said yellow. Let's do yellow. And this one's in all the ads, right? I've tried shaking these. I don't know what's going on inside. Nothing moves, right? So I don't think there's moving parts. But when it comes out in this nifty little brush, right? Now I'm gonna do the opposite of outlining here. I'm gonna use this stuff for a filter. I mean, it's just oil paint. You can use it for all steps, right? It's just paint. So for this one, using it as a filter to stain the paint, and just put a little dab out like that. Good. White on white on white. Wow. Such an amateur. There we go. That's not a bubble, that's an effect. Okay. You see green. Come up and have a look up close later. Like, I mean, looking through computers, etc., it takes away from what we actually see. So, the green and yellow. Even if you didn't pick that up consciously, when you look around the model, your brain will know that it's different, and it just, your brain is interested by the differences. It works out, makes it very nice. Let's add something else. That was a nifty color to use. There was one called Earth. If you're going to buy these would be the ones I've tested so far that I like and I would suggest. These are only $5 here, right? In Europe they're like, I think like 7, 8 euro each or something. I know, right? That's why I'm here. This one was the one I'm most impressed with so far, Earth. And it's a, there we go, let's put it on the feet. A bit there, a bit up under here. Now this color, I did plan this, you see the stone green with this earth color? It's fantastical. That's perfect. Same thing, it works for everything. Knock it in. There we go. I'll leave it heavier at the bottom. Draw it up a little bit with the flat of my brush. And that's done. And when we look around the model, this one's going to have a slightly different hue to the other similarly painted joints, panels, excuse me, these sections. And you can see a bit of a yellow tone coming through there. That'll help add some size to your model. Our brain just registers that. You know when you look at something real outside, light reflects off it in different places, different ways. If you do that, it helps to increase the illusion of size, which with plastic models is really useful, right? Oh yeah. How's that color look? See it? But come up and have a look in person. See what it looks like up close. See what you like. I can probably let go there. I can do a bit of dust real quick. But you guys want to kick off the panel and get the guys up? I'm so sorry for going over. I had
that's all right, we all appreciate it.
No concept.
So, big round of applause for Mr. Lincoln Wright.
Thanks, guys.